Hello, ladies and gentlemen, fellow students, Instructor Peters. My name is Dan Fagin. I'll be giving you an informative speech on E85 flex fuel. My sources are listed in the assignment mission. If you drive or own a vehicle that is 1998 or newer, chances are it has a flex fuel capability. I've seen it. Some more recent models, such as 2007 or newer, are a little more prevalent, whereas the previously up until 1998, um, previously to that, they're not as prevalent, but there are some vehicles out there that have this capability. Some people may not even bother to care what it is, and some may think it has something to do with better gas line. All in all, there's some people who know what it is, and probably there's a great vast majority of people who don't understand what it is. But to be more precise and informative, this option on a vehicle is nothing more than the ability for an engine to run and operate on E85 ethanol fuel. This is a different fuel source that can be found at some gas stations around the globe, such as similar to diesel. Um, Only a vehicle that is designed for 85 can handle fuel without prolonged damages to the engine. It is mainly designed. It is mainly comprised of 85% ethanol and 15% gasoline. This is a rough number because, as with all fuels, these percentages can vary based off of load and procurement. It can also vary depending on the climate, the local area, to obviously maximize performance for the vehicle. 85 ethanol flex fuel is a fuel made by fermenting and distilling starch products, mainly corn, although there are other forms. Almost all the ethanol sold in the United States is made from the American crops and is distilled by a handful of American companies. Roughly an acre of corn can produce 330 gallons of ethanol. Henry Ford built a Model T that consumed ethanol before World War One, and then over the years, several other auto industries have taken up modifying their vehicles to consume ethanol. Any vehicle that is E85 capable can run on either regular octane gasoline, E85, or a combination of the two. Um, The vehicle's onboard computer compensates for any blend and ensures that it runs according to the manufacturer's specifications. The octane level for 85 runs between 100 to 105 and 85 to 95 for regular gasoline. 85 capable vehicles costing usually $150 extra $150 extra for them to be constructed, but automakers do not price hike the vehicle to compensate for that price. Horsepower ratings for E85 engines do not differ hugely in performance in comparison to their gasoline motors. Small, minute difference, and you'll see what I'm talking about and what I discuss later with that. E85 ethanol flex fuel can be found all over the country, but it's very prevalent in the Midwest. The process applied the source to create the ethanol mainly comes from the Midwest, and thusly the population gas stations that provide this fuel are abundant in those states or around those states. As of November 2012, there are roughly 2,400 gas stations out of 180,000 stations providing E85. Obviously, there's probably a lot more than that right now for on this date, but that's just a comparison during the time of the recent references that I found. Some of the major importers of ethanol in the United States are Italy and Brazil, but up until about 2011, when an excise duty hike rendered them economically unviable, and thusly we no longer buy or trade with them. One of the controversies about using corn for producing ethanol is that there's not enough supply, or the price of corn will go up due to supply and demand of corn. Unfortunately, this controversy is met with a lot of skepticism, as is all the other controversies, but mainly this one due to the fact that 93% of the country's supply of corn is not even given to humans for consumption for meal. It is mainly given to livestock for feed and other variants. Even when ethanol is utilized and distilled, the shell that comprises of the corn is still actually given to the animals to feed. There really is no loss there when it comes to utilizing this corn. Even after the production of ethanol, there's still a surplus production of this crop every year. Another controversy is that creating ethanol for fuel consumption doesn't reduce the carbon emissions as they say it does. This is due to petroleum products used in the process of distilling corn. In retaliation, it is pointed out that most companies who do distill corn do not use petroleum-based products, but E5 and biodiesel fuels for transportation and biomass for heat source for distillation. Some of these controversies are unproven. In a later test that I'm going to show you, a 2007 Chevrolet Tahoe was utilized, and there was a slight difference in variation in the carbon dioxide emissions from the vehicle. The biggest issue that some contend with, or those who contend with, is if they purchase an E85 capable vehicle, it's the gas mileage. Huge, a huge problem. The vehicle that is 85 capable of running on strictly 85 would run at 14 miles per gallon in the city and maybe 21 on the highway, whereas its counterpart running strictly gasoline would be running at 18 in the city and 29 on the highway. With 85, will be burning cleaner, but the distance that your vehicle will go will be shorter. In this way, 85 could prove to be more expensive than regular gasoline. As of August 2012, a gallon of E5 was 11% less than the cost of a gallon of gasoline. E85, however, it produces 27% less than a third gallon, so on average, really it costs more. Not only that, but the further a gas station is away from the Midwest, like I said before, the more expensive E85 will be per gallon. In a test that was conducted by Edmunds, a trip was conducted utilizing a 2007 Chevrolet Tahoe LT with flex fuel capability. They drove from San Diego to Las Vegas and back. Trip was conducted driving there and back solely on gasoline and again on 85. The vehicle was siphoned down to the last drop before either fuel was put in the vehicle. 36.5 gallons of regular gasoline was consumed during the first trip. They achieved an average highway miles per gallon of 18.3. $124.56 was spent for this trip on gasoline with an average pump price of $3.42 per gallon. The second trip with E85 consumed 50 gallons of fuel with an average mile per gallon of 13.5. That's almost 15 gallons more of gasoline or fuel utilized. $154.29 was spent on the whole trip for fuel with an average pump price of $3.09 per gallon. Looks like it's less, but it actually costs you a lot more for the overall trip. So, in retrospect, for this trip in comparison, the E85 capable Tahoe ran 26.5% less efficient than when it used regular octane gasoline. For this trip, it cost the traveler $30 more to do the same distance on E85. Performance tests also showed a slight performance loss using E85, but small enough that a normal driver would not notice. A test was also conducted on the greenhouse gas emissions the vehicle emitted for using both gasoline and E85. Gasoline, the vehicle emitted 706.5 pounds of carbon dioxide, down E85 emitted 703.1 pounds. This is about roughly three and a half pound difference of carbon dioxide emission. Only if E85 did produce less, it was a whopping 0.5% less. All in all, E85 has its pros and cons, and a lot of manufacturers and politicians are involved backing it up to get us as a country off our petroleum dependency on other countries. It is honestly a matter of what you find important. You need to take your own opinion of what you want, and then obviously weigh the options. And when it comes to living near the Midwest, it may be a cheaper endeavor for you to go, but the further away you get from the Midwest, it obviously becomes more expensive. For me, I own a 2008 Chevrolet Tahoe LT, and it does have the flex fuel capability. When I was in Texas, I had the ability to utilize flex fuel while I was there, but the simple fact that the gas mileage was extremely low, and it was a lot of city driving. I was actually pumping gas into my vehicle more than I was with regular gasoline, so it didn't really provide much for me. And then top of all, it was only about maybe a 20-cent difference with the lack of gas mileage. The price, it seemed like I was actually paying more for that. And maybe those who don't care about how much they pay and are more concerned about the environmental concerns, it does have its